Hello there. Welcome to the show. Just a little reminder that next week will be the final episode of this season, and I'll take a little break to focus on some other fires that need putting out. And then I will be back with another season. Today, I wanted to talk about sickness in kids, especially if you have a kid and you're early on in the piece, or you have not yet had a kid, you're on the way to having a kid, and every effing second person is going to tell you about how sick they're going to get in the first year and how it's all going to be a disaster and it's going to be awful. And oh, you wait till they start daycare, they'll never not be sick. Now, all of that is true. But none of these people need to say that to you when you are already terrified about things. I was so terrified about the sickness stuff in the first year in particular. I mean, those first few months when you can't give them a damn thing. You're not allowed to give them Panadol. You're not allowed to give them whatever. Maybe it's not the first few months. Maybe it's less than that. But I remember that time. And it wasn't even worth going to a doctor, even though you desperately wanted to go to the doctor because you were terrified about, like, oh my gosh, are they dying? But then you'd go to the doctor and you'd go and pay your money to see the doctor. And the doctor would tell you the same thing. Just let them rest. Like, okay. Okay. And as an adult, you're just like, isn't there some kind of medicine? Can't I give her something to make this stop or feel better? But there's really nothing you can do. But when you are going into daycare, every man and their dog wants to tell you about the fact that it is going to be a hellscape of gigantic proportions from an immune system building perspective. And it is not great. I reckon it took Olivia a year until she started to not get consistently sick. It was definitely longer than people said. I did start her in daycare in summer, I think, because I was like, well, at least let's try and start her when germs aren't rife. Pff, that makes no difference. Like, that makes absolutely no difference. The daycare germs do not care if it's warm or cold. They can inhabit any surface at any time of the year. But the actual living through it at the time, while a kid being sick is never great, it was actually not as bad as people said it was. It was constant. It was exhausting, yes, but you get in and you get it done. It's no harder than any other part of parenting at that point in time. But once you cross that threshold to the point where your kid can communicate, where they can understand what you require of them, where they can kind of talk back, they can comprehend, the game changer that is in terms of sickness is truly unbelievable. I still have moments where I can't believe that things are unfolding in this way because I don't know whether I'm like stuck back in the trauma of the early years or whether I'm always assuming it's going to be harder than it is. But you have those moments where you realize, oh, my kid is growing up. Oh, wow, my kid is really developing. And it can come as a bit of a surprise sometimes. Like you see them evolving, but I guess there's certain scenarios like them being sick that after a certain point you don't experience every single day. And so if your kid gets sick and they haven't been sick for 6 months and 6 months ago they weren't talking as much or they weren't kind of as developed mentally and all those kind of things, and you assume the sickness is going to roll out like it always has rolled out. And the one sickness that I've always really been terrified of is the gastro. Not only because it can take a whole household down, and I still remember the time that I got gastro after she got gastro, and I was just lying on the couch trying not to poo and spew, and I had her on the mat. She was still, like, lying on mats at that point, and I was just, like, holding my arm over the side of the couch, dangling a toy over her head to try and stop her from getting upset and crying, but really that was all I could manage, and I just remember levitating and looking down at myself and thinking, "This is a really grim scene." Those are those solo mum moments where you're like, "Oh my god, this is where it's hard not to even to call your mum or your dad, and say, 'Hey, come and help a brother out, retired person.' Like, you come and step in. Please take my kid for, half a day while I just go into the bedroom and cry myself to sleep and then spew into a bucket." So, the sort of overwhelming uncontrolledness that comes with the vomiting situation for me is the one that I'm like, "Oh my god, that's terrifying." And I had a situation with Olivia. She might have been 2.5. She might have been in between 2.5 and 3, and she got sick at daycare. And I turned up to pick her up, and the daycare educator said the magical words that no parent wants to hear, which was, "She vomited 10 minutes ago." And I'm like, "Oh, fantastic. That is just great news at the end of a long day of work. Fabulous." So anyway, we pack her in the car, and I only live sort of 10 minutes away from daycare. Did we make it? Nope, we did not. We certainly did not. She really gave it a good nudge in the back seat. It went everywhere, and it was sort of not stopping. And you know, in that moment where you're like, okay, I'm 10 minutes away from home. I'm much better placed to, be in a situation where I can sort this out when I'm home. I'm just going to keep driving. And then you're looking in the back and you're like, oh, I can't keep driving. This kid is actually distressed and it's just not stopping. So then I kind of pulled over, grabbed her out of the seat outside. I'm trying to get her to spew in the gutter like she's a teenager who's drunk too much. Anyway, I'm covered in spew, the seat's covered in spew, she's covered in spew, and then you've gotta sit them back in a spewing car seat, which nobody wants to do, whether you're 2.5 or older. That's not an appealing thing. So I sat her back in the car seat, managed to get home, picked her up. I'm looking at the car seat thinking, "I don't even know if you can get the cover of this thing off. So how in God's name am I gonna clean this thing?" I still don't know how to get the cover of it off. I was just like, "Oh my gosh, that's a problem for later me. I gotta get this kid upstairs." So I get her upstairs, we get her cleaned off, bath, whatever. Then I pop her into her bed. Now the first phase of this didn't go as well as I planned because I was a moron who got her into bed and thought, "Okay, she'll pass out." I waited till she fell asleep. I was like, "Great, she's super sick." I put the monitor on that I have, like, I have another monitor on my phone, and so I put that on. I put the headphones in, and I went down to my car downstairs at the street, and I just started to work out how the heck I was gonna clean up all this vomit, started to fix everything up, and then I hear, "Mommy," and I'm like, "Oh." Hey, man, I shut that door, I run like mad, but unfortunately, I don't make it up because as we all know, when it's time to vomit, it's time to vomit. So if mummy's, down the bottom of the stairs, she can't take 75 seconds to get up the stairs to get you and expect that there won't be spew in the bed. So anyway, she spewed in the bed, but then I got her up and she was trying to cuddle me and she was like spewing on me. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to try and get her to spew in the toilet. Like I know she wants to cuddle me and I want to cuddle her, but I turned her around. I was like, "You've got to spew in the toilet, sweetie. You've got to spew in the toilet." So there is nothing more amusing is not the right word, but it is very kind of, there is a funniness about it when you've got this tiny 2.5 to 3 year old hanging onto the sides of the bowl in her little ergo pouch sleeping bag, just and the fact that she did it, like, she heard my instructions, she was leaning into the bowl like a legend, like, really giving it a good shot. And I'm looking at this kid going, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe you're vomiting into the bowl." Like, again, I'm thinking of you 6 months to a year ago, like, you would have just it was spewing all over me. I remember she was little, really little, and I just used to go and stand in my kitchen because there's the sort of widest circumference of just floorboards, and I would just let her spew down my back. And I'm like, "Okay, I'll mop it out, but just, like, keep spewing until you're done." So I'm watching her, like, hang on to the bowl. Anyway, it all comes good, give her a big cuddle, clean her up, get her changed, get her back into bed, and I said to her, "If you feel sick in the middle of the night, you call out for mummy, you say, 'Mummy, I need to spew in the toilet,' okay? Because 'Cause we've gotta spew in the toilet because we don't wanna spew in our bed." And anyway, I'm thinking to myself, if she spews in her bed, she spews in her bed, whatever. But I thought, I'm just gonna say this because she's like, worked out, "Okay, I know when you told me to turn to the toilet, I'm gonna spew in the toilet." So I'm gonna try and tell her, like, it's a good idea to spew on the toilet. We go to bed. It's like 10 o'clock at night. I wake up to her, "Mommy, mommy." I'm thinking, oh gosh, what are we in for? And what do I hear? "I need to spew on the toilet." And I'm like, "What? What?" Oh my God, it's sunk in. I race in and I look at her bed and I'm like, "There's no spew. There's no spew in her bed." I pick her up, I rip her over to the bathroom, I put her down in front of the bathroom, she grabs the side of the bowl and into the bowl. not a drip on her sleep suit, not a drip in bed. I mean, she is naturally beside herself because who likes to vomit? Ugh, it's my great fear. My God. But she is, really obviously distressed and distraught. But despite all of that, does she turn away from the bowl? No, she doesn't. She sticks her head in that thing. She gets her stuff out and then she turns around for a cuddle. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually amazing. Like, this is manageable. This is totally doable. If you are spewing in the toilet, I can comfort you. I can love you. I can be there for you. I can rub your back. I can pat you down. I can get you back into bed. I can make you feel safe. But I also don't have to, when it's all over, change your sheets for the fifth time, clean up vomit, get rid of all the crap. Like, I can just put you back into bed and go, night, night, sweetheart, and flush the toilet. Like, oh my God. I still find that so unbelievable. Like, and when she finished spewing, she would just go, I want to go to bed. And I'm like, okay, Papa, I can do that for you. There we go. The next morning after this, it must have been like a 24-hour bug. She wakes up 100% fine. And mate, did she talk all day about how she was the big girl that spewed in her toilet. And I was like, yes, you were, mate. You were my inspiration. So all those things about people saying, it gets easier. I mean, damn you if you're one of those people that always, when people are saying it gets easier, it's like, oh, but there are other problems. I'm like, I get it. I get it. None of us are ever allowed to feel like we're out of the woods. But things like that do get so much easier. It is so amazing when you are in that mode where you are expecting things to roll out in the way that they have. And then you realize, oh my gosh, my kid has grown. She's developed. She gets it. And she's just stepping up. I've never been more proud in that moment. I'm like, the resilience, the presence of mind, the like ability to say, okay, I'll do that. Like you tell me to do that. Like, that's really amazing too. It's like, okay, I trust that this is the better option, even though you're asking me to put my head in a place where I shit. But it is, yeah, it's just so amazing when that kind of transition happens. And now when she's sick, yeah, it's a bummer, but it's not anywhere near what it used to be because you've got a kid you can communicate with who can tell you, I want to go to bed. I feel sick in my tummy. I need a drink of water. I don't want this. I want that. And you think, how did you ever survive when you were trying to mind read their every desire? Like, you got no idea what these kids want or when they're really out of sorts, how can I help you? Like, there's no way to work it out. You're just kind of looking for signs. Is there a rash? Is there a temperature? Is there whatever? But like, you're flying so blind. And then when they get to this age, you're like, mate, you're in the cockpit with me. You're telling me things. You're giving me directions. We can land this plane together. We're a great team. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you to anyone who has reached out to me either on social media or via email, or even if you've left a little review on the show. It's always lovely to see. Thank you to Amy for suggesting Tangled as a movie after I had a bit of a rant about Frozen. I did watch Frozen 2 after watching Frozen and being highly disappointed that Anna was not more of a celebrated character considering what a legend she is in that film. Frozen 2, what an epic film. What an epic film. At first, I actually thought it was a bit shite. And I was like, oh, God, this is terrible. But then by the end, when Elsa, and I'm not going to spoil anything here because if you haven't watched it, it won't even make sense. But when Elsa is riding over the fjord on her ice stallion, I had tears streaming down my face. I was having a real moment. And then we watched Tangled, and that is a great film. It is a really, really good film. That mother is a bitch. What an awful piece of work that mother is. I've actually known a few mothers who are like that. That real, I'm going to cloak something in a joke that is harsh and horrible and will chip away at your self-conscious, but then I'm going to laugh it off. Like, oh, that is a terrible, terrible quality. The only person that is coming off badly in that situation is you. I mean, the person that you're doing it to will be coming off badly and will need to spend a lot of money on therapy getting over that. But truly, you're not making yourself look any better by acting that way. She had her ending coming to her, truly. My goodness. Anyway, I could talk about these kind of films all day. They're really quite good. I'm really enjoying going back into the archives of things that I'd watched when I was a kid or even in my teens or in my 20s, and then just stuff that I've never seen, you know? And when you look back at some of those older cartoons, we watched Little Mermaid this morning. Great film still, but the quality of animation. You know, you're like, "Can you step it up a bit?" Lilo and Stitch I watched. Now that was early 2000s, but even that I thought, "Really? Gosh, we've come so far. We've come so far." Any other movie recommendations I would love? Big Hero 6 I watched with her. Loved it. Excellent movie if you haven't watched that. There is quite a scary evil character in it, but Olivia's like 3 and she dealt with it pretty good. But it was, yeah, a great movie. Very, very good. Highly recommend. Anyway, enough of the movie review section of the podcast. I'll see you next week for the final episode in this season. Bye.